Well. Wait, that's my spooky toy. Turn that off. Hold on. Very unprofessional. I do apologize about that. We will save that things for later and perhaps at the right moment as well. Anyways, just making sure that my video is working, just making sure the picture actually makes sense, but it actually seems pretty bad right now. Let's see if we can fix that up. Maybe I can do that really quickly here. It's always a gamble when you start playing around with fucking settings and whatnot on video, but I think that's good enough for right now. Few things to talk about today. I think a big focus really going to be going on in traditional markets just because that's where the action is happening. Bitcoin still playing within that lower block, wicked up to the top side of the lower block in the lower term timeframes, but as typical, it has rejected. And once again, we have a range play, another range play. How many range plays can you have over the course of, how long has this been? This has been like a month now, I think, more than a month. Yeah, since middle of November, we got into this range. So yeah, quite literally 1 month on the dot as of this moment on the 17th of December. Anyways, yeah, better when it was blurry, bro. Thanks for that, man. I appreciate that. I know I have a beautiful rat face, but one day, maybe one day, I too can be beautiful. Anyways, looking at traditional markets, I do want to see what gold's doing. Gold is just the most interesting thing right now. It is once again hinting at a mega massive, well, I don't know about a mega massive breakout, but just continuation realistically. This one, I really wanted to see it pull back down to about 4,100. It got front ran, not even front ran, it's just too fucking strong. $50 a little bit higher on that last higher low. Continues to go up and to the right, and this thing looks like it's poised for new all-time highs, maybe even this year. I was thinking this was going to be a 2026 thing, but I don't know. Santa looks like he likes gold, not Bitcoins, not the old traditional markets. It likes the gold. It likes the gold, just like gold, member. Anyways, Elsa's not doing your job today, but that's okay. I can handle the super chats myself. What's up, Mr. Caretaker? I see you. Good as always. See you, my man. Filibuster. Almost didn't catch that name properly. Nexus Signal. Good morning to you, ma'am. And Luisu. Love the options talk. Thoughts on using IBIT instead? Yeah, I think IBIT at some point will be more relevant. It's just right now it's one, I like using the Bitcoin futures to do the options on just because the prices, correlate better to Bitcoin spot. When you use IBIT, it's like a 50 or 60 handle, whereas when you use Bitcoin futures, it's more or less about the same price. So I think it just, it probably makes more sense to more people. But yeah, in terms of in the future, especially, I think IBIT's probably going to be the best place to do options for Bitcoin. It's probably going to be the most liquid. So perhaps we'll go to that in the future. And then also, once IBIT just has more price action history, I think it's going to make a little more sense to be focusing on this chart just in general, actually, maybe even over Bitcoin futures at some point. I suppose time will tell, but that is my kind of intuition that over the next, I don't know, if we fast forward maybe like 5 years from now, IBIT probably will hold precedence in terms of the most important Bitcoin charts. I'm guessing as of right now. But, in its current form, it's just too new to really be making much out of. So I don't want to go into like super deep analysis because there's just not as much history here. I mean, shit, it's only been around since January in 2024. So it's got a little under 2 years now. Yeah, a little under 2 years, which is just not enough in my opinion. It's just not enough. So realistically, I want to be looking at like 10 years minimum or more. And ultimately, we just don't have that. And we don't really have that with Bitcoin futures here yet. It's getting close. I mean, that one debuted in 2018, January. So, we're still about 2 years away from that. But this one, you can actually look at a weekly chart and it makes sense. You have real history to be analysizing there. So, and of course, the monthly time frame actually makes some sense here too. So I think that this one just matters more than IBIT as of this moment. But if we fast forward into the future, I think IBIT could take precedence. We probably won't be looking at too much Bitcoin spot or Bitcoin futures. It might just be IBIT, honestly, as like the most important chart. And I saw a really good question here as well. As I kind of peruse through the comments, I saw from where was it? Anthony Ailman, I think it was. He asked thoughts on Jack Mallers XXI. So this is the stock, the Bitcoin treasury stock, 21 Capital, that combined, or I guess merged with symbol CEP. That was Cantor Equity, which is actually related to Howard Lutnick's. I think it's related to Howard Lutnick's son or one of his family members. It's very incestuous. But they merged into XXI, and yeah, the chart looks exactly as you would expect. Honestly, these sort of moves generally do happen after mergers where the stock just fucking collapses. So as far as the actual chart of this thing, no, I don't like it right now. I think if you want a position, you're probably going to get even better prices than where you're at right now. Maybe not by a whole hell of a lot, but it should retest those lows from 2024, maybe even a little bit lower as well. I mean, this one has been straight down basically since May, or sorry, not even May, but April of this year. It's not great, honestly. Could it have future power? I guess if you want to play the Bitcoin treasury narrative, but in my opinion, it just, okay, there are always two things at play. It's like, one, am I too stupid to understand it? Or two, do I not understand it because it is stupid? That's a lot of things in life. And honestly, to be able to discern between those two things is a great skill, which I have not mastered. It's like, okay, am I too stupid to understand this? Or is this too stupid for me to understand? I'm telling you, it really is one of the greatest skills in life to be able to discern between those two instances. And for the Bitcoin treasuries, I really don't know which side I'm on, because I definitely don't understand why you'd want one of these over Bitcoin spot, or at least why the general person would want one of these over Bitcoin spot. I understand what they're going at. I understand what they're purporting themselves to do. I just don't understand why you would particularly want that. But hey, fair enough. I mean, look, I'm not here to be people's fucking dads or parents or moms or double dads, whatever the fuck. I'm just here to give my opinion in an unfiltered way. So for me, it just doesn't make sense. It hasn't really made sense. That's why I've not gotten involved in these Bitcoin treasury related stocks. I have gotten involved in Bitcoin bond stocks because I actually understand that and it makes sense to me. And there is a portion of my portfolio that I think that makes a lot of sense for. Symbol STRF, I quite like indeed. In fact, I bought some again just for this next dividend payout, which I believe was the ex-dividend date was like the 15th or the 14th, something like that. So I do play these ones because I do like that 10% coupon, but I don't play the Bitcoin treasuries. I'm not saying that you can't make money on them, but to me, it's like altcoins. It's like, I don't really understand this thing and I don't invest in shit that I don't understand. So, or at least I don't understand why it should be valuable to me. That's kind of the way that I think about it. But as far as Jack Mallers goes, I'm actually a big fan of Jack Mallers, not because I agree with everything he says, but that's a throwaway statement anyways. No one agrees with anything that anyone says like all the time, obviously, or at least if you do, then you're a fucking automaton moron, unthinking raid act. But I think he's very interesting, and I think he has a very unique take, and I think that he's definitely a forwards thinking, and he's a very interesting thinker as well. So I actually reached out to him to get him on my channel to do like an interview or something like this, because I think that he's actually very well financially educated, and I think that I can learn a few things from him, and he could teach the community here a few things as well. But I do think that he kind of has interesting interpretations on other things. So I thought it would be a really interesting conversation, if we could get him on the channel, because I feel like I could push back at certain points where I think some of his arguments are kind of weak, or at least maybe I don't understand them well enough. And perhaps, we could both come to a better understanding of, what the whole picture is, because I think he definitely has a really good grasp of the overall picture. But some things it's like, it's like, do I understand this, or is or is this just wrong? And I'm trying to understand something, and I'm trying to like understand 2 + 2 = 5 when it doesn't. That's kind of my point. So fair enough. A lot of conversations in life are like that anyways, but unfortunately he has not responded, and hey, more power to him. I mean, he's probably busy as fuck. He's got, companies listed on NYSE. So, hey man, that is a different stratosphere as far as I'm concerned. But hey, if he ever wants to get on, I'm more than happy to chat, and we can go from there. I'm very interested in his Bitcoin loan company, or that's probably a terrible way of stating it. Basically, he has a company where you can use Bitcoin as collateral to take loans. That I'm very, very interested in, and that's actually where I initially kind of learned about him, and I think that that's ultimately a really good. I mean, that use case for Bitcoin makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I really wanted to pick his brain on that, but hey, people are going to do what they're going to do. Zonkert says, I thought 21 started trading about a week ago. Yeah, it did, but they just basically combined the chart of CEP with 21 here. So yeah, it did begin about a week ago, somewhere over here, I imagine. but all of the prior price action was the same as symbol CEP, Cantor Equity Partners here. So yeah, just for full disclosure, yeah, you can see it right here. Very, very similar, I should say. Maybe not exactly 1-to-1, but you can get the idea. You know, or sorry, this is not the same thing. I apologize. This is a different thing. So CEP, yeah, no longer exists. Yeah, it's no longer exists. So yeah, that is effectively the same chart as 21. So fair enough. But yeah, man, for me, I don't really understand. I just don't. I'm trying to understand why someone would pick that over just Bitcoin spot when Bitcoin spot is so easily proliferated right now. And, you know, it's very, very easy to buy at this point. It's not like it was before when there are, you know, a lot of regulatory things that kind of prevented people from buying Bitcoins. But again, these are things, it's just maybe I just don't understand. Vahid says, I saw him on Bloomberg yesterday and attended his presentation Bitcoin conference in Vegas back in May. He's smart, but not sure how legit he is, though. I mean, look, like, I don't know. How would we actually judge that? It's like he doesn't really have, you know, I guess much of a track record, good or bad. It's just he's just there and he's just talking. I'm actually kind of curious, like, why has he been focused on so much in mainstream media, you know, bringing him up? But I love his shtick, man. He's always, you know, he's always trying to be like the anti-Wall Street guy, but he's the one who's on all of those publications and whatnot. It just seems kind of silly. And I don't really care about the Wall Street boogeyman anyways. I think it's a stupid fucking trite I think it's very fucking trite, and I think it's very just sophomore thinking. It's like the big bad boogeyman, you know, the bully in high school. That's traditional mainstream, you know, news and markets and stuff like that. It's like, just is what it is, man. So I don't know. Anyways, those narratives I just really don't care too much for. If you can't guess, CR250 says sub 80,000 Christmas, I guess. I mean, personally, I'm still not looking at Bitcoin as likely to go lower than the lows already, but I do think we're going to test around those lows, and maybe there's a wick below $80,000, but I just don't see closures below there as of right now. You know, Bitcoin rallying up to the 21 EMA, obviously that is going to be a sell within a general downtrend, which is a general downtrend. We also did hit the price action, or sorry, not the price action pivots, but the historical price action statistics, top side of the average returns for a winning Wednesday. And again, this is within the context of a downtrend. So if you do want to get aggressive on any one of these scalps, that's the side to do it on. And yeah, we already have seen what multi-$1,000 move from that scalpable price of about 90,000, or sorry, yeah, about 90,000 even is where that was, just a smidgen above 90,000 to be fair. But you know, Bitcoin down more than 3,000 or 3,500 from that price, you know, that's a very worthy scalp in my opinion. Of course, I personally wouldn't have played it that great. I wouldn't have played it, you know, for $3,000. But in that case, you know, when it's on the same side of the trend, you know, $1,000, it's not that crazy, to be fair. Not that crazy, especially when we see that correlate with other technical targets, again, like that daily 21 EMA. And also what we'll focus on today is the meta signal setup over here, which that did more or less hit target number one. Yes, it barely grazed it. I think maybe it was just shy of it. Let's see. The high of today is 90,342. And target number one over here is about $200 higher than that. I mean, when you're talking about numbers, you know, in the multi-$1,000, I would say that that's more or less hit. But, you know, if you want to go by the book, then no, it has not. And of course, that does have a rather high probability at 72.41. Again, dyslexia speaking right there. But yeah, you know, looking at the meta signal setups, I mean, we haven't seen one of these fire off in a little bit of time. This is a 4-hour time frame. Target number one, target number two, I would say are, you know, quite high probability. Target number two, or sorry, I should correlate this to the stop loss. Stop loss is at 85,162 on a 4-hour closing basis. So, you know, I do think we're going to test into that region. Does it close below and actually invalidate this? Possible for sure, but you know, I still do think Bitcoin's setting up for a bounce from this, you know, low $80,000 block rather than setting up for a continuation of new lows from exactly here. I think if there's new lows, that's like a 2026 thing. If I'm wrong on that, I'm just going to be wrong on that. But I mean, we're getting pretty fucking close to 2026 now. So it's like, how much more time do you have? We got literally 2 weeks left in this year. These years are flying by, man. I'm getting old as hell. I got gray hairs everywhere, all up on my face, all up on my beard, all up on my balls, all up on my shoulders too. Like I'm actually having white and gray hairs there as well. And time just continues to tick along. That's why Father Time is undefeated. It's never been defeated, and it continues to kill everything that it touches. It is entropy in and of itself. It is sucking up all of the void of the world, and probably the most scary thing of all time, I guess. Also the most predictable too. Anyways, yeah, moving on from there, looking at Bitcoin as well. I do want to acknowledge that the Revan Ribbons over here providing the be providing also the same area of interest at about just below 90,500 for that bounce and rejection. So this is still maintaining a downwards posturing here, which does imply the midline at 84,350 is likely to get hit. Does it get hit today or tomorrow? I don't know, but I do think it will get hit before this week is over. Again, that is 84,420, 84,500, 80, somewhere in there. I mean, it's really not that far away anyways, at least. And then if Bitcoin does take a leg lower, 81,750 is that area of interest. So I do think that we're going to see that sort of zone tested here. Again, as long as Bitcoin is living below this middle band right here, the priority for direction is down. We are in a downtrend, and that is confirmation of further downside pressure alongside the RMO, which is Rebin's momentum oscillator coming down here as well. So I am still looking for a short-term downside move. I just don't think that short-term downside move will create significantly new lows, or at least if it does, I mean, then, we got something new to look at. Of course, we could also go look at, where was it? Yeah, tether dominance over here. I mean, look, it's strong. This one wants to go up. And if this one goes up, then I have to be looking at, are we going to get a pullback here? Which you'd have to get a pullback here in order to get Bitcoin into the deep 90s or low 100s. And this does not look like a pullback. This looks like it is continuation into a breakout. I mean, for fuck's sake, look at the weekly. The weekly continues to base off the 200 simple moving average and also the red 5 VMA. I mean, this is a breakout posture here by the sheer definition of it. So, at least a retest of the November high. So that should get Bitcoin down to the November lows, basically. But does it actually break it on this next test? I mean, it's kind of hard to look at this and not think that. The only way I can get bearish on this chart is the same as the last couple of weeks, but it continues to fail that condition, aka bearishness for Bitcoin and bullishness for this chart. But that would be the 200 simple moving average right here, which is 588.3, or basically last week's low. One of these two conditions on a closing basis would reverse this and would be, significantly bullish for Bitcoin. That should get Bitcoin into the $100,000 territory if it were to happen. But it's very far away from happening, and there's just no indication right now that Bitcoin wants to reverse right here. I mean, this is, again, continuation. So, it's kind of getting difficult here for the boo laws, I suppose, but still, that would be my condition for that. Obviously, Bitcoin spot, I think it's just easier to look at for those ranges. It's the same ranges as we've had before for the breakout and breakdown. So not really much to update on there. We did just get another 5-day period opening as of last night. The new median is coming in around 98,700. Are we going to test that on this current period? Probably not. But on the period after that, I do imagine it's going to come down significantly again, probably somewhere around 94.5 to 95. And so at that point, I do think that we will see that move occur, and it should at least get there. It should at least get there. That's probably going to be a next week thing, like I said, because about 5 days from now, that puts us into what? That puts us into Monday. So next Monday, the week of Christmas, if there is going to be a balance, I think that area makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Before that, though, we do need to remember that this Friday, we do have a triple witching event, I do believe. So those are typically major reversals in the markets. If we go over here, go to the quarterly time frame, you see this almost always happen around these sort of, around these quad witching events. Sorry, I didn't even bring up the right chart here. My apologies, but let's see if I can get up my witching. Hold on. Yes, there we go. Quad witching. Oh, I don't have one for December. Are you fucking kidding me? How could I goof that up so poorly, so terribly indeed? But yeah, many reversals in the markets do happen around these dates, which happens 4 times a year. And I mean, generally watching those dates, I mean, does kind of get your big reversals. Anyways, let's do a chart here for December's only. Fuck, I'm not gonna have time to do, or if I do this, it's gonna take a lot of time. I'm gonna write this as notes for tomorrow's video, actually, because that would be a good idea. I think that could be rather interesting. Let me get this one over here. Okay, quad witching. December's, yeah, because we already got all of the other quarters. We got March, June, and September, but we don't have December for whatever reason. I haven't recorded that data, which is very disappointing, actually. Anyways, all right, cool. We've gotten through all of that. I kind of just zoomed through the Bitcoin analysis right here. I still do want to acknowledge that while Bitcoin is hanging around these lows, there is potential for not regular, but hidden bullish divergence on the 10-day time frame. We are seeing lower lows on the 10-day RSI, as is the 5-day, and as is the 8-day, and as is the weekly and biweekly. But I think the 10-day is just kind of interesting here because it's the highest term time frame that just closed the soonest, and it is making lower lows on the 10-day RSI. which still does have higher lows on price action for right now. But of course, in order to confirm this as a low, we need to see this one, well, flip back around and actually confirm itself as a, as a local low, which would require at least trading back above that prior period's high at the very minimum, or a closure above about $94,000. One of those two things should do it. And at that point, yeah, I'd still be anticipating a target into the very deep 90s, probably low 100s if that were to happen. But for right now, Bitcoin must try some downsides. So I think we're going to get that question answered before the end of this week on Sunday. One, Bitcoin coming back down to the November lows, somewhere around there. And then two, is it actually going to break those lows? Because if it does, that throws a lot of what I'm saying, a lot of what I've been saying over the past couple of weeks, into the trash, and suggest that, hey, there's something else happening at that point. If Bitcoin does break those lows, what's a move to prepare for? Well, for one, I need to fucking make some options plays. But two, at that point, my risk is down to about $75,000. These lows from April very likely to be tested if that were to happen. So at that point, my option plays over here are going to come into a bit of an issue. And here's the thing, man, I'm around a week. Yeah, I am 9 days away from expiration on this one. So, for me, it's probably better if Bitcoin really starts to threaten a downside move here to just take profit on this position. In fact, I might even do this during the stream, because right now it is still, at a very profitable level. However, I do feel if I leave this for a week, this one might actually break here, in which case I'd leave all that profit on the table and perhaps even start to incur a little bit of a loss. But like I said, a lot of time to react here for myself. If Bitcoin does start to lose, let's call it about whatever this low is from the 1st of December at about 83,500 or so, I'll probably just short stock against that position and lock in that profit. Then I'll have a short position, a naked short position when that expires, of course. So I need to make some decisions after that. But, that gives me a little bit more time and kind of draws out the whole position a little bit further. So as you can see, when you play options, it's just a never-ending game of kind of rolling these and managing positions and yada, 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 so on and so forth. But I'm really looking for the next play on the other side. I really want to see a rally here just because I think that's the next obvious options trade to be had here, shorting that call spread. If we can get a rally, that's really where I'd like to do that. I do not want to be a put buyer in this instance here. I don't like these instances generally to be a put buyer when, we've already seen weekly volatility kind of spike up here. A lot of the time you're just buying dead premium. So I'm not a big fan of that. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to speak about really, really quickly here before we get into the actual shitcoin requests of the day? Of course, looking at stochastic momentum, I'm just curious to see where a lot of these timeframes are pivoted right now. Again, we did just have a new 5-day and 10-day as of last night for spot price action. Those pivots are going to go to, on the 5-day, 87,000 almost, which Bitcoin's below right now, by the way. But of course, it's got another 4.5 days left. 10-day time frame is going to, well, actually still shows some downside as long as Bitcoin's below 92,500. Don't see that one crossing on the next period. So fair enough. Yeah, I guess if Bitcoin does want to break down, it does have the green light to do things. I just don't think that that's personally going to happen, but my opinion, not really necessary on that case. If it does happen, it happens, and got to get ready for the next move to the downside somewhere in the mid 70s, I would imagine. So fair enough. I'll take a sip of this caffeine while we get into the shitcoin request of the day. I think I need to ping Elsa. Elsa, do your job. Hold on. God damn it, Elsa. God damn it, Elsa. All right. Well, it's actually okay because I can pull up to the top of the charts right here. We got Steven Shigman number first, but it is no longer the crypto shitcoin requests that we have come to know and love, but it is now the MSTZ request, which is, I believe, a 2x inverse. Yeah, inverse MicroStrategy. And this one, last time we looked at it, I said it's bullish. And today I'm still looking at it and it's still bullish, man. This is a higher low. I have to be bullish as long as it's above 10.5 bucks. We see momentum going to the upside. Volatility is rising on this as well. So I do think that this one does have a real potential to continue here. And if it does, I'd be looking somewhere around 18 to 19 bucks. But again, if it does lose this low, get very bearish. That would be my confirmation that Bitcoin is going 100 plus. Probably more at that point. It's just bullish again, I guess. But that's very far away from right now. I mean, to put this in perspective, that's a 30% move to the downside nearly. So yeah, anyways, my point is that, yeah, I'd be bullish on it until that happens basically. And this one is literally threatening a breakout to the upside right now. In fact, I mean, right now, this is what you would expect to see. So if it's going to happen, I'd really be looking for this one to continue with that move between now and the next 10 days, if that's going to be happening. Sequoia says, morning Redux of the world, throwing you some hate from the Rocky Mountains. Fuck yeah, man. You must be in Colorado. Colorado, among the most beautiful places in the US, maybe even the world. Don't think anyone really knows about it, though. Still a secret. All right, we got Pisa next. He says, hey, Crown, what's up, man? Do you think XRP is ready for 240 to 2.5? I still think it's going to test that low from 180 first. Yeah, and that seems to be what it's doing right here. Okay, and it did get quite close yesterday, 185 tick. But I do think you will officially test like 180. I do think that it wants that. So do I think that it's ready for 240 to 250 first? No. Right now, still have to be on the defensive. I wouldn't want to position exactly at this moment because I do think it will come a little bit closer to this low, probably even exceeding it by a little bit. But here's what I'd be looking for if I wanted to play that as like a highly probable bounce. I'd want to see first a spike down to this low, maybe even a little bit lower with like a 1.7 handle. But after that, within two periods on that daily, so basically the next 24 hours after hitting that, I want to see if a clear reversal back above today's open. Today's open is 190. Wait, hold on. Today's open is 193. Yeah, today's open is 193. So yeah, if it did pop back above there within the next 2 days after spiking that low, that would be a really good indication to me that, hey, this thing does want to rally. It's not going to be like a straight shot to 240 or 250, but you'd see some ebbs and flows, and then something like a move like this, and then if it's going to really break down, I think that's where that move would occur from. But we shall see. Either way, kind of have to be on the defensive here. Let's see what would indicate that this thing actually wants to break down from exactly right here. I mean, shit, this is in a much worse position than Bitcoin, to be fair, because momentum also just had plenty of room to just continue with this move right now. I mean, not just on the weekly, but also on the monthly as well. The monthly has having a fresh twist to the downside. This would be the first close over closure. And that's continuing to the downside as long as XRP is below $3. So, no matter which way I twist this, I do have to be bearish on this. The real question is, do we get one more bounce first and then resolve bearishly, or does it just go straight down from here? I just have a hard time seeing it like really come all the way back down to 1.25 from exactly here, but that would be the risk. Somewhere between 1.5 to 1.25. And, the higher term timeframes are conducive to that. This is not the best right now. But like I said, when it's coming into major movement averages like this, I'm looking for a bounce first and foremost. I think you're going to hit 180. Look for that quick reversal. If you do, you should get that 240 to 250 tick. Then at that point, it's like, all right, it might be fucked. All right, Elsa, what the fuck is Elsa doing for real? I need to text her now. All right, she's really not doing her job. She's definitely not getting paid. She's fired. You're fired. You suck. Terrible. Awful. The worst. Okay, kidding. All right. Hold on. Let me actually text her though, because I actually do need her help. Anyways, let's see. It's a live stream. Maybe do your job. I don't know. Should we just hire a robot from now? Oh, well, fuck it. All right, let's continue on. We got Vince Have, PH8. He says, been lurking since 2019. Love your work. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It helped me get fuck you money. Hell yeah. There's no point in having fuck you money if you don't say fuck you. So nicely done, sir. Go say your fuck yous. Say fuck you to me as well. And with that said, KRMN on Nicey Daily Weekly. Got it, man. Yeah, I love hearing shit like that, man. I really do, man. I'm genuinely happy for you, when you do have legitimate success, because one, I know what it's like to, not be in that state. And two, I know the severe amounts of fulfillment that you will have when you actually do reach that stage as well. Especially when you don't have it, you just appreciate it so much more. I think that's like the worst thing about, people who are born into riches, is that they just never get that beautiful opportunity to see their potentials. Anyways, this one obviously bearish. I think that this one's going to come down at least to 63.5 bucks in the, in the next week or two at most. And then at some point, I do think you come back down somewhere around this low between about 55.5, which is the price action pivot right here, and maybe the broadening wedge rising trend line here at about 59.35. But somewhere in that zone, I would be looking for this thing to come down upon. Yeah, daily very much wants to do this, and I'd just generally be bearish as long as you're below what was this last Friday's high. And generally, you're going to see these things kind of come back down around those prior lows. So I would say more than likely you won't hold at that prior trendline extension. That might be like a short-term bounce, maybe scalpable. I know a lot of people like to use the price action pivots indicator trendline extensions for those scalping plays. That can definitely be done. But, if you're looking for the move, I think it comes back down here, man. Yes, same thing on the weekly as well, although not as much history. And then the monthly, not problematic yet, but if it starts to close below the red 5 EMA, it could be more long-term. And like I said, we only got 2 weeks left in this year, so not much more time to kind of move around. Anyways, Lutfi Muradova is here. She says, hello, sir. What's up? I have a short position on Pippin. Nice. We're on the right side of the market, most likely. I'm guessing because it is a shitcoin, and shitcoins generally go down, but not always. Not always. And this one's going up. Hold on. You're short from 41 cents. This one's trading a little bit below 41 cents. Let's see. Do we have any good signals that this thing does want to reverse here? Because at some point, all of these shitcoins reverse, even if they're named after very famous and very talented basketball players, probably especially if they're if that's the situation as well. There is bearish divergence here. You could argue that the easy portion of that move's already played out with the wick down to 28 cents. How do we see it? Hold or close? Personally, I actually kind of like your position here because I do look at this thing as having some good signals that it's either very tired or, just the main signal is that it's a fucking shit. It's a literal shitcoin, it's a literal shitcoin. What is it tied to? Nothing, of course, nothing. But in this case, technically, if I was looking at like a regular stock, I'd say, okay, it's still an uptrend. Can't really be bearish until you're closing below about 29.5 cents. But I do think that you have some decent signals here that do suggest this is either the top or very, very close to it. You got multiple dreads of bearish divergence on the 12-hour time frame. You did see extreme volatility on those highs as well. I think you're going to trade a little bit sideways here, and I do think you're going to actually trade above your entry as well. I think that you will get a bull trap somewhere around like 45 to 46 cents, but if I'm betting on this thing topping out for a long time, that's probably where I'm looking at for a bull trap. So I think that you are going to be tested. You're being tested right now. It's nearly at your entry. I think you could probably reposition better, to be honest, if you didn't take any profit on that last dump. But I do think you will also be right on direction. So makes it difficult. I don't know. It's like, do you want to trade around that? I think you generally have a pretty good position. I do think at minimum, you will get another run somewhere down around like low 30 cents, which is a big fucking percentage move for you. That's going to be a 20% plus move. I don't know. But can you survive a potential rally back up to like 46, 47 cents? That's a question only you can answer depending upon, your use or non-use of leverage, which I don't know. I don't know your specifics. But yeah, I do think that this is basically your high that you saw from yesterday. It's just, I think you might trade a little bit north of where you're at right now. Maybe that puts your position underwater, but I think you're going to be right on the direction overall. So personally, if I was in it, I'm not going to be using super high leverage. So I could theoretically hold this position, and I'd give it like 4 to 5 days, something like that. And I really want to see this low from this morning taken out. If that happens, I'd feel very, very, very confident that this thing is headed down significantly. You're going to see the teens at that point. And this is just like it's a parabolic blow off top on extremely high volatility. Momentum oscillators are printing divergence and turning down now. If you're gonna play a reversal, that's typically what they look like. So I think it's a good setup, honestly. But can you survive that test is the real question. Very good caffeine. I found a new caffeine brand. It was actually unfortunately out of it was out of necessity. Thank you for that, Bear Nutrition. I appreciate that, ma'am. I do appreciate that, man. I see you over there. As always, my man, Bear Nutrition, he's keeping this place safe and soft food right now. Let's see. We got N. Louisi next. Says, love the option stocks. I kind of went over this earlier, but let's go a little more deeper into it right now. You're saying thoughts on using IBIT instead. Buying power is too high for me with straight BTC. Any concerns? Oh, That's why you do that as well. Yeah, you're right. It's going to require less equity to put on those positions. Very true. Any concerns with it only trading Monday through Friday? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, it doesn't happen often. It definitely doesn't happen often, but yeah, there have been breakouts and breakdowns that happen over the weekend. And if you're not on the right side using options on something that trades Monday through Friday, you can be really, really hurt. Now, here is the biggest issue right now with crypto, in my opinion, with trading options in crypto, or sorry, just basically trading Bitcoin options. We don't have, shitcoin options yet that really matter in traditional markets, but the instance that you just referred to could be remedied somewhat easily if you could have your account that you trade Bitcoin spot linked using the same margin as your traditional market options trading account. Because in traditional markets, you can generally do that. Like if I'm trading, if I'm trading an IBIT position, I could trade a Bitcoin futures position as well, for example. But because Bitcoin futures don't trade over the weekend, this doesn't really help. But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is not best illustrated with that example. I should probably use an example that's not Bitcoin or not IBIT. But the point that I'm trying to get to is that in many instances, you do have that. You actually do have that, but in this instance, you do not. So, or if you do have enough equity, if you had enough equity to both have a fully funded options account for IBIT and then also a fully funded account for Bitcoin spot, then you could manage your positions using spot. You could do that over the weekends. It's not going to be perfect, not going to be ideal, obviously, but if you really had a lot of equity, you can make that work. Or at least I could see that, but it's definitely not optimal, of course. So yeah, anyways, moving on from there. Yeah, to answer your question, I wouldn't do that. If you're going to trade Bitcoin options, I think you kind of got to do it I think you kind of got to do it on Deribit for right now, just because of that exact scenario that you mentioned. That can be a career ending move. Yes, it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's disastrous, or it could be disastrous. It also could be massively profitable for you as well, but generally, that would be a massive vulnerability, that could just completely wipe you out. So yeah. Anyways, we got Ray now 97. He says, GM Crown, what's up, man? Monero looks very interesting. Let's check it out. I'm long from 405. It's okay. Bear Nutrition's doing your job today. Elsie just jumped in right now. She's busy taking care of puppy. Anyways, Monero, yeah, it does look interesting. It is objectively better than any other crypto chart that we've seen today. Probably any other chart in the cryptocurrency space right now. I don't know. I'm kind of considering that I should probably buy some of this just in case, because this is ready to roll, man. To me, it looks ready to roll. At 405, you wrote that comment when it was 405. It's 432 right now. I think things become a lot more clear in the monthly because you just saw a very clean retest of the red 5 EMA and beautifully bouncing from there into the end of this month. This thing's in a position to break out. There's just, I would be bullish on this as long as you're above last week's low. Last week's low is 360. That's your last high or low. Price action pivot is developing right there. Momentum's turning up at the same time. These are the signals that generally produce breakouts if they're going to be happening. So yeah, I think this thing very well might retest the prior high, the prior all-time high, I should say, from April of 2021. I don't know. Maybe I should get a position myself. Anyways, yeah. Michael Quinn's looking at Circle. What would you want to see to flip bullish? Well, an uptrend would be a good start. I am watching this one myself because I do want to pick up a position here long term, but not yet. This is just straight down. This is just garbage right now. And keep in mind that when it does bottom, it's not going to be like a 1 week thing. This is going to be like a multi-month long process, most likely. And this thing, it's really just been a parabolic blow off top and then just straight down. So this is like the traditional nasty IPO fucking chart. I think you're gonna go well below the IPO low of $64. And then what I want to see is like a few months of this sort of sideways action creating a range. And then once it actually trades above the top side of the range, then we at least have a swing low. And if this thing actually is going to be successful in the way that I think a lot of people think it's going to be successful, in the way that I think it could be successful as well, that could be like a major macro low. So that's what I'm personally waiting for. By the way, I'm not saying it's going to get all the way down here. I don't know where it's going to bottom out at, obviously. But I'd be looking for something like this. The idea is probably goes lower. I mean, it's a pretty terrible chart right now. Then it's going to spend many weeks, probably in a few months, going sideways. At that point, we might be having the potential for a low, but from right here, absolutely not, or at least in my opinion, absolutely not. This is just a clear trend to the downside. The only position I'd be taking here is a short position. So yeah, I feel the same way about Gemini as well. I really want a long-term position in this too, but I'm hell no at these. This is just garbage right here. This is absolute garbage. This thing wants to go below $10 easily. And that's going to take some time. And then even from there, it's going to be a process, it's going to be a process of a low, but these things I am keeping an eye on personally. So, we're kind of thinking in the same direction for at least if you want to invest in these things long term, but definitely not right here for me. Definitely not right here. I think that these guys really are going to be tested to the downside from here. I don't like these charts at all as of their current trajectory. Starcades, what's up, man? Merry Christmas to you and your sir. Crown a lot. Yes, Crown a lot is right here. It's actually it's Miss Rosie. Miss Rosie, Rosie Poo, little Rosie Poo, taking poops at all hours of the day, in fact. But we did take her to the vet yesterday. They like her poop. They like her poop indeed. Very healthy poops. Anyways, the conservative cat 4404 says PSTG. Man, we are just a full-on fucking stock trading community now. This is great. I fucking love it, man. I fucking love it. PTSG, whatever the hell it is, going down. I do think you're going to get a short-term bounce relatively soon, whether it be at 67.50 where you're at right now, or whether it trades a little bit lower first to the 200 simple at $65 even. Somewhere in that pocket there. It probably does trade lower, to be fair. It's gotten so close to this damn gap at $62. Might as well come down a little bit closer and fill it. So I'd be looking for a little bit more extension on this downside, somewhere to this pocket right here, and then a big bounce. Is that big bounce going to reverse into a continuation of the uptrend? Possibly. I mean, the history is not bad on this thing. It's pretty good, actually. I don't know. Maybe. Definitely possible. But I would be looking for maybe a slight wick lower first, and then the bounce to occur. But I think you're very, very close to that bounce. Because overall, this thing actually has been a pretty impressive uptrend over a very long period of time. So yeah, again, short term, probably an extension of the downside move, $61 to $63, something like this. Then bounce. Then we get to play the game of, is this a higher low or not? In which case, time shall tell. All right, cool. Let me scroll through these again. All right, cool. Let's see. John Dude says Solana. Wow. Okay, we're back in shitcoin land here. Solana on the 5-day. Okay, sure. It's okay. Bear Nutrition's got it, actually. He's taken over your job, so you're fired. Very nice indeed. Thank God for Bear Nutrition. Not only is always on top of shit, but he also made the price to pivots indicator, which these scalps on this indicator have been playing for itself recently. I mean, goddamn. And right now, you actually have another example of kind of a unique way to play it. This did print, a consolidation. Let's call it. You want to call it a symmetrical triangle? Do you want to call it a consolidation? Whatever you want to call it. Printed that on the daily time frame right here. Did break down over here. Sorry, I'm not doing this properly because I do have my Magnus on, but if we are going to make a measured move, well, shit, that's Solana, but I don't know, back down to like 118, 119 or so. So a little bit of an extension on this downside move again. Downtrend, overall ugly, momentum to the downside, volatility rising. Like, what makes me more bearish is looking at the shitcoins, because the shitcoins want to trade further to the downside. Bitcoin, kind of wants to dig in its heels around 80,000, I think. I don't know, if I'm just looking at Solana, it's like, it's similar to Bitcoin. I think you have another sweep to the downside. I think Solana might get down to like 115 to 110 region, but I don't think you're going to break down just yet. I think you got another bounce somewhere in there. But yeah, looking at the monthly view, you're seeing monthly momentum having a fresh cross to the downside. If it finishes this month below 166.5, I mean, I think that's very likely here. I think that's very, very likely. I think at some point you're probably going to test that green 55. So that's about 110 or so. So yeah. Do you bounce there? Yes, you're very likely going to bounce there. Is it going to be a reversal into an uptrend? No, this is a macro high now. You have a lower high already, coming back down even close to that prior low. That's almost always good enough to call a reversal, where you have lower high first, then same lows. That's almost how every reversal starts. And if it's the opposite, it's just the opposite. It's you get a higher low first and then same highs. So not there just yet, but I do think it's coming back down to that low. And at that point, just kind of thinking a little bit forwards from there, it's like, okay, you're going to bounce, but it's still lower high game. I mean, at that point, it might even bounce to like 160, but that would be a lower high, which is not great. So yeah, man. Overall, I wouldn't be a big fan of this chart in its current state. I mean, shit, this thing, you don't see this too often, where it actually breaks the 200 simple on a higher term time frame on the first sort of consolidation there, without like a real bounce into a swing high. I mean, it's really close to doing that. That is ugly. What about a 10-day? Yeah. A lot of these momentum oscillators are pretty extreme already, so that's why I don't think you're going to get like a flush move, but I do think you get a swipe lower, then a bounce. Something like that would make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, we shall see. Yeah, top side of your range right here is 145. If you could trade and close above 145, I do think you got a big move up to 160 to 170. But yeah. Anyways, McDonald's House, what's up, man? Good day, sir, from Canada. Hell yeah. Otherwise known as the Redact of the North. Yes, indeed. They are. But also Canadians, great people as well. Interesting governments, but great people in many cases. Very, 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 like, absurdly nice people. Makes you feel uncomfortable sometimes. Anyways, would appreciate your opinion on Tron on the daily and 5-day. Love the streams. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, let's see what we got here for Tron on the... I guess these would be more higher term time frames for Tron. Start high, finish low. Again, objectively compared to most of the shitcoins we've seen today, better chart overall. Got higher lows for a long ways. But I do think in the short term, you're probably going to retest this green 55 EMA, which is the lows of last week at 27 cents or so. It's not that far away from it right now, but something like that. Price action pivots are indicating a falling pizza right here, which typically does break out to the upside, but you know, it doesn't really mean much until you actually close above the topside boundary. And at that point, you know, you're probably looking at a big move back to like 32, 34 cents, something like that, which would be really impressive, actually. When I look at the monthly, I don't think that's happening. I think this one will ultimately go to the downside, probably breaking down to about 24 cents. When I go to a daily, still a downtrend. So, you know, if I'm looking at Tron and I'm making a correlation to Bitcoin, I think you might get something like this. You know, probably retest around this week or last week's low, kind of the same thing right there. Go sideways a little bit, then bounce, put in a lower high in the low 30s, something like this, maybe somewhere around the 200 simple, and then the big shot to the downside, because higher term timeframes are bad here. Like this is a top. This is what a top looks like. You got major divergence on the monthly stochastic oscillator, and it is turning down simultaneously below 34 cents. So barring a heroic reclaim of 34 cents by end of December, I would not be favoring this thing for any real continuation. I just think you know the bounce that you're probably going to get is going to be a bounce into a lower high, followed by lower lows. Let's go look at it from this angle, just out of curiosity, see if there's anything significantly different. Yeah, weekly time frame starting to construct some hidden bullish divergence there. So yeah, it's like I do think you got another bounce similar to Bitcoin. It's just I wouldn't be a big fan of that bounce. If you couldn't already tell. Something like that, man. Probably going to get a little more complicated than that in the near term too. Time Attack says MetaSignal was hacked. What was the total loss from this and how did it happen? Yeah, so I do have a little bit of insider information in this and how it happened. So basically, I don't know how much I'm like actually allowed to talk about it because look, again, my position in MetaSignals is I'm an investor. Basically, I have given them money in exchange for ownership of the company. So I do get a little bit of insight into what has happened. Technically, if you want to go by the book, what happened to them was they themselves were not technically hacked. If you want to think of it exactly like this. Now, in essence, in practice, we could just call it a hack. I mean, it operates in the same way. But what happened was they had a bot from a third-party company or third-party service that was verifying the NFTs that they give out in order to give people access on their Discord to the appropriate permissions that come with their NFT. So it gives them access to the signals that they show in their Discord. And what happened is the company that hosts that third-party bot that was verifying the NFTs, they were hacked with what was probably an inside job, but we don't really know. And I can't really speculate on these things because they're in California, so they might like sue me, if I say something like, I think that they were hacked, it's like, I don't actually know, but that's what it sounds like to me. maybe an inside job. But again, I'm just speculating. I don't actually know for the legal people out there. And so the hackers were able to then use that to get a leg into their Discord. And because the hackers basically took over the whole third party, they also took over their support system. So they could see the open ticket that MetaSignals had with the third party company. And MetaSignals had like a small issue related to something completely different during that time. So MetaSignals then was talking with these people, thinking that, oh shit, I'm talking with their support team, because it literally was their support team. It's just they'd been commandeered, and they prompted them to do a few things, which then gave the hackers of the third party service access to MetaSignals on Discord. And from there, once they got access to the admin powers on MetaSignals Discord, they deleted all of the chat channels so that no one could discuss amongst themselves saying, hey, this looks sketchy. And then they just flooded the announcements channel with this sort of, I guess it was a drainer. From what I understand, it's like a pretty crude tool and pretty rudimentary. And basically you click on the link, you put in your wallet, and then it just drains everything from your wallet. So that's what happened there. MetaSignals got it under control pretty quickly. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 hours where they basically didn't have control or weren't able to like get that person off their Discord. Then they did, and then they've just been doing some backwards engineering over the past few weeks to ensure that it never happens again. And they feel quite confident right now. I've read the reports. I feel quite confident with it as well. Their Discord was always more, the signals in their Discord, I should say, like the signals that you actually get with ownership of their NFT, they were always fine. That was never changed or anything like that. So while those were firing off, while the hackers had control, like it actually, it's still working, to be fair. But yeah. A pretty shitty situation. What was the overall loss? I don't know. From what I understand, and this is obviously no consolation to the people who did lose money, it was a relatively lower amount compared to other hacks. But I don't really know the specific of it. But I imagine it, or at least it seemed like there were a few people who had like legitimate amounts of money on there who did lose a lot, and that fucking sucks. And I think the resolution to the whole situation will actually be okay, because the third-party company that they used is domiciled in California. It's very easy to go after them, and this was their fault, thus their liability. Thus, I think what MetaSignals is going to do is they're going to go after them legally and get a settlement there in which they can pay back the people who were affected. And I think that's probably the most legitimate way of handling the situation. It makes the most sense to me because, again, at the end of the day, that was them getting, fucking up and affecting other people. So yeah, anyways, long story. At the end of the day, again, I'm just a guy who basically has a little bit of inside information. I'm speculating on a lot of it. I don't fucking know, and don't sue me if I'm wrong about some of that shit because I ultimately don't know. Anyways, the Conservative Cat says Sats weekly, monthly. I think this is an actual stonk. Let's see what we got going on over here. Yeah, I just kind of addressed that, Powell. So hopefully that makes sense, man. But yeah, anyways, looking at Sats, bearish divergence on this current high is in play, but it needs to confirm a local high. So if you don't see it make new highs by the end of next week, I'd be calling a local high right here in a swing down to about 90 or a little bit below $90. Overall, though, it is bullish, and that should be another higher low, and it should lead to new highs in 2026. When we go to the daily time frame right here, there is still bearish divergence present right there. So I do think you are going to get a pullback here to the low 90s or upper 80s, but that should be a higher low. That should be an opportunity. And I do think that this thing still has new highs to go into 2026. First quarter, I think, is going to make another all-time high. And then at that point, it might be a little more questionable because this one is starting to look a little bit more tired on the higher term time frame look. But yeah, still overall good. Just not really bearish on anything, that looks like this as long as you're above, especially about like $83. So yeah. Anyways, a few more sips of this agua. But believe me, pal, the owner of MetaSignals, Nathan, he is very much on top of this situation. He is very much looking for a resolution that will address all people who were affected. Of course, like that's his fucking business, man. Like he is 100%, he's 100% motivated to resolve that in the best way possible. But of course, as you probably know, with legal related stuff, it's probably going to move slowly, which sucks. So yeah. Anyways, Daryl K says platinum 4 hour and daily. Sure. Symbol is XPT. Whoops, or maybe I actually type it properly, not like a full-on fucking redact. And yeah, XPT really good here, really fucking good. Another metal that's just going straight up. Spiked the prior highs from 2011, so I would be on guard that while it is spiking those prior highs from 2011 and it's simultaneously waking up into that price action pivots trendline extension, this is a good place for a short-term pullback. I'm not saying it's bearish, okay? It's not bearish. This is bullish. It's very likely going to break out, but you know, this is where I would say it's kind of wise to be a little bit defensive towards a short-term pullback, ultimately going to probably put in a higher low and continue upwards and onwards towards those prior highs of, 2000 plus. But for right now, the short-term move, if you're on a daily or a 4 hour time frame, as you did request, this one probably does pull back a little bit, whether it be to 1845 or maybe even all the way. I mean, if things get really crazy like 1800, I don't know, but I'd just be looking for higher lows. Overall, this is, yeah, it's not bad. Quarterly, again, overall pretty good here. I just think that this is a very common pullback region, so that is okay. The bias would still be on general upside, probably into 2026 as well. I think just in general, metals are doing pretty fucking good right now. Yeah, go with Boris. What's up, man? Please link for our daily weekly. Sure. The link corns. Let's see what we got on the link corns over here. Let's see. Yeah, weaker than most. Weaker than most, actually. I've seen shit coins that look better than this thing today, which is an interesting signal. Anyways, maybe I'm looking at this thing too much through history's lens, because in the past, this one has been one of the more legitimate ones, but just not in recent times, that's for sure. I'm looking for something that's obvious. The obvious thing is that short-term wants to come back down to these lows. I think it might even make a new low below these. Maybe close to $11 even, or maybe even $10. But, is it likely to bounce around those regions? I still think, yes, I do think it probably bounces again, somewhere around $10 to $11. But yeah, that does imply short-term downside. I mean, this is just not good. This is not fucking good. So yeah, don't really much to say about it other than that. See what a yearly chart looks like here. Not giving me any major dispositions either way. 6-month chart, again, not really much going right there. Just the daily chart gives me a bias towards the downside here. Play out that hidden bearish divergence to these prior lows, maybe even slightly lower, like I said, to $10. Should bounce, should attempt to bounce from those numbers. Does it reverse or not? Probably doesn't reverse. I mean, but perhaps a good bounce into a lower high. Something like that. If you're on a 4 hour time frame, as you requested, yeah, short term, I think you got a little more downside here until a short term bounce attempt. If you want to draw out your lines, you got a nice little line right here, the line of destiny, something like this. Oh, those altlines played out pretty well. Yeah, maybe a very short term 4 hour bounce attempt at $12, but I don't think that's going to be a reversal. I do think you actually come down a little bit lower. And then try for the real bounce. What's up, Giles? How you doing, man? Hello, sir. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, man. Hope you're doing well as well. Could you take a look at Ethereum on the daily? Yes, we can look at Ethereum, of course. Ethereum just hasn't been very popular as of recent times, probably because it just hasn't been going up, and it continues to not go up. It looks like my target did get hit. LARP line in timing, though, not great. It doesn't need to be. It's not really intended to be. But yeah, short term, kind of similar to the last few ones. I do think you come back down to these lows, that being 2,700, somewhere between 26 and like 2,750. Does it try for another bounce around those numbers? I think, yeah, I think it will. Like I said, I think most of this market does still want to try one more bounce, but goddamn, when I look at the 5, like, it might break, but still, I would be calling for a bounce if it comes back down to 2,700. Even a little bit below 2,700 is okay. Yeah. What time? Oh, you're on a daily. I'm looking for obvious signals here as well. What about a 6-month? That's a weird looking 6-month time frame for sure. Hold on, I'm getting a call. One moment. Let me see what the hell this is. Maybe it's important. Maybe it's not. Let's see. Always marketing. Always fucking marketing, man. God damn. Lots of marketing calls. Maybe I shouldn't be getting up my number. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Time Attack says stock Snap. Oh, it's Snapchat. I remember when this thing went IPO. This was many, many moons ago. Wow. Wait, I do remember when this one went IPO, but I'm not thinking about this one. I was thinking about, what was it? Something else. Something else came around this time. Anyways, terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Abso-fucking-lutely terrible. In fact, it is the worst chart of the day award. The conservative cat says Veil stock daily and monthly. Let's see what the Veil stock is doing. Weekly and monthly, you say. Not great. I think you're actually in the process of putting in a lower high right precisely there. Daily might try another rally. Weekly might pop back up to like $13 or so, maybe wick a little bit higher. But this is where I'd be looking for on the next lower high. Perfectly at that 200 simple on the weekly time frame. There shall be hidden bearish divergence here between this point and this point. Probably not visible on the weekly, maybe the bi-weekly. Yeah, certainly does have it. Also kind of coming up to the same region. Like this is where I'd be looking for on a lower high, man. It'll be totally confirmed that this is a lower swing high and ready to have some significant downside, I would imagine, over the next 6 months to a year. If you do see this thing come back down and close below about 12.25, if you see something like that, at that point, yeah, I do think that's you're just going to see this thing continue with the trend, and the trend is to the downside. So yeah, pretty bad. Yeah. You'll know that I'm wrong, and massively wrong, if it just reclaims this month's high, which is 1362. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be my condition for a reversal at this point. But this is basically exactly what you'd be looking for on a developing lower high. So yeah. In other words, I think it's going to be going down from here, generally. Anyways, I'm in an office. Everyone just looked, says Melody Maker SD. What happened?
Killing spree.
Gotta get him with one of those too, baby. Anyways, Rickon HH says HPDR for XRP on the daily and 5-day or weekly. I can look at it. I don't know. Well, actually, no, XRP definitely has enough history for that. Let's see. It's a downwards bias. You're on a 5-day or weekly. So, hold on. Where's the 5-day? I wouldn't be surprised if you spike the low from November one more time, like 183, 180-ish region. But I do think you are going to try for a bounce from there. Yeah. Like, I just don't think that this thing has the real momentum right now to create a breakdown move from where you're at right now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and it's going to be disastrously wrong because it's going to come down to like 1.5 or 1.25 if that happens. But you know, I kind of like these areas when volatility starts to contract and you're kind of bouncing off of one of these outer bounds. I generally will look at that as a signal that it wants to put in a swing low. A swing low, again, is within a downtrend still just means the bias is on a bounce but into a lower high. But yeah, I'm looking for something that's super obvious here. I'm not really getting it from this, or at least nothing that we already haven't said. You know, 180, I still look at as a basing point. Yeah, other than that, don't really have much to add on here. And yeah, I do think it will test that downside very likely. It's just I don't think it's going to break right now. But we shall see. We shall see indeed. We shall see indeed. Anyways, let's see. We got BK says nothing USD. Oh, great. Yeah. This is the comment that you really wanted to get out, to look at nothing coin. My nothing coins, are they going to go up? Please say they're going to go up. My nothing coins will go up because they have lots of value. My nothing coins will be going to the moon and beyond. On KSEX, okay, they're making, I mean, these fucking shitcoin roulette exchanges, they are just multiplying them by the fucking dozens right now. Look, there's really not enough history to be doing any real analysis on this, but also you acknowledge that because you're looking at an hourly time frame. 1 hour short-term upside targets. But what if there isn't an upside target, sir? I think in the short term, you're coming back down, man, to what is this, like 1 3/4 tenths of a cent? Somewhere down around here. What, like upside targets? I think you're doing something like this, then maybe a bounce, then something like that. If I had to guess. Still not going off of much, but you know, the way that I read this, it's probably easier. It's probably better seen on a 4-hour time frame, but here's your range highs, here's your range lows, something like this. You just rejected the range highs. You're on the middle of the range, so maybe a short bounce attempt there. I think you kind of already had that actually yesterday, but generally, I think you're going to come back down close to those range lows, that being between about 1.5 or 1 1.25, something like that. Is there going to be a short-term bounce in between? Maybe something like this, but it's probably not going to be relevant to you. Like, what's an upside target? There's no real upside targets on this thing, as long as you're below the range highs. The range highs is about 2.5 almost, 2.5 tenths of a cent. If you can trade above there and close off even a 4-hour dildo above there, then yeah, you have an upside target of around like 3.5, maybe even 4 tenths of a cent if that were to happen. But that's not what this thing is doing. This is fucking nothing coin. This is fucking nothing coin, man. It's fucking nothing coin. Nothing coin. What will they think of next? What will they think of next? Yeah, man. I'm a little bit surprised, but it might be going down. Anyways, Aren Shah Nazari, I think I'm actually saying it properly now, saying tether dominance is just scary. Has it already broken out of the downtrend on weekly since June 22? So I think you're talking about the greater range here. I think technically no, but let's see. June 22. Hold on. Are you talking about June of 2022? No, it can't be, because that's way back on over here. So that's not relevant. Maybe you're talking about like the June 22 highs? No, they can't be right as well. Well, at any rate, I think what you're referring to is this area right here, because this is the top side of the range on a higher term time frame. That's 667 as far as like an actual number goes. Sorry, it's actually a little bit higher than that. We should be using this high right here. That's 6 3/4. No, it hasn't broken out just yet, but if you are in the lower term timeframes, then yes, this is a short-term breakout, which should lead towards another test towards the top side of that range. So it just depends what time frame you're talking about. I'm guessing, because you're on a weekly, you're talking about the greater range. So that's your 676 region. On the short term, yeah, it has broken out. And yeah, I do think you're going to test that region. It has a chance to break, but technically speaking, no, it is not broken just yet. Do I think it's going to break? Maybe not on this next pass, but I think in 2026 it very well might, or at least that's when it's going to have the real chance to do it. Yeah, time will tell. But again, I mean, we only got 2 weeks left in this year, anyways. So it's like when I talk about 2026, it's really not even that far away. Anyways, you're asking if it does break above this, is the target like 9%? So you're basically targeting these highs right here. I don't like to get that aggressive with those sort of breakouts, but the prior high before the breakdown would be a pretty high probability target. And that's about 8.2% or 8.25% almost, somewhere around there. Would make a lot of sense. And to be fair, I mean, that'd be a fucking gigantic move anyways. So yeah. Anyways, let's see what else we got. We got Andrew Plus says, I'm sidelined on metals. What do you think about Sil J, Silver Miner, for an entry? Did I miss it completely? I mean, look, it really depends on your strategy, depends on your risk tolerance, depends on this and that and the rest. Look, if you want to play the breakout, yeah, obviously you missed it by about, 3 months since September. That was when you actually confirmed your breakout. So I don't know if you're looking to hold this for the next 10 years, if you're looking to trade this for the next daily swing. In the short term, I think you actually probably pull back relatively soon. But that's going to very likely be a higher low with continuation later on. Yeah, it completely depends. Do I think that you missed it? I don't know what your strategy is, man. It sounds like you don't really have a written strategy, so you missed it because it never existed. You also got it because it never existed as well. But yeah, man, if this was supposed to be a long-term position, I think you got to be on the monthly time frame. The monthly time frame broke well over here on September's closure. So yeah, I'd say that you're late to that trade, man, or late to that investment. And it's what, like 30% higher right now, 20 to 30% higher right now. I mean, if you want to chase it, it has to be a long-term play at that point. And you got to be expecting that you will be underwater at some point in 2026, I'd imagine. But long-term, do I think it's going to make new highs? Yeah, I think it does make new highs in 2026. Just completely depends upon how you're actually playing this. So I don't know the specifics of your position. And generally, I don't really like miners anyways. Like junior miners. Sounds terrible. Sounds like pedophiles. What I mean to say is I don't like the mining activity. Miners are cool. Just kidding. Anyways, Aaron is back. He says, man, just tell me that it is scary. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is what you would be looking at, or let me go back to the actual chart. This is what a real potential reversal would look like. We actually spoke about this at the beginning of the stream. I guess you probably just missed it there, but yeah, if this thing really is going to reverse here, I mean, this is what it typically looks like. You get a higher low already. You're already at the prior highs. The bias has to be, at least in my experience, this is how all reversals almost always start. The good ones restart, if it's going to be from a downside to an upside, with the higher low first, then the same highs, and then follow through after a pullback. Same thing as we spoke about for a reversal from an uptrend to a downtrend. It's a lower high first, then same lows, then a bounce into a lower high, and then breaks those lows. It almost always looks like that on the real reversals. And we do have a higher low right here. The higher low was from September versus your December 2024 lows. And we're at the prior highs because you're at the high side of the range, the same levels from August of 2024 on a disastrous move from about a year and a few months ago. So yeah, I agree that it is scary if scary means that this has real potential to break through and trade up towards 8% plus. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Hip Hop Anonymous says, hey, Crown, have you checked out BA? No. What is it? Booz Allen Hamilton Holding Corporation. Too many fucking letters there. Looking like Lockheed Martin just before it turned around. I mean, Lockheed Martin is like one of the best defense contractors of all time. What is this thing? I don't know what this thing is, to be honest. Like maybe it is a major player, but from its chart, I'd say it doesn't look like one. It looks like a major loser. Do I think it's going to rally from this low? I think it's going to retest this low and then rally, but I wouldn't be calling a reversal just yet. I think for every Lockheed Martin chart that looks like this, you can find many that just fail after that. And I don't even think, well, actually, no, this is going to be good. It's just a range here for a while. Yeah, I already got the LARP lines here too, but something like that. And the bottom 30 range is actually higher, it's somewhere here. I think at best that's what your BA stocks does. But yeah, other than that, what's up, Fingless? How you doing, man? Good old Frank still here. Hell yeah. Take the profit, Crown. There is always another trade. Mr. Crown from 2017. Hey, that guy actually said something correct. Amazing. My fucking man, Mr. Van Duysen, still massively scratching my head at why Attila won't launch. Why won't you launch on my mega massive beast computer? You bastard. I just want to play you. I just want to hold you. I just want to see you. Anyways, we got the conservative cat. He says UFO ETF. Sure. UFO ETF. Procure Space ETF. Good narrative. Whatever happened to the 3i Atlas thing? Is that still a meme, or what the fuck's going on? I like the consolidation here at a high. I don't think it's ready to break out yet. I think it's going to be a swing back down to the low end of the range, something like this. But I do think overall it is bullish. Something like that, and then a try to the upside. Yeah, I'd just be bullish on this thing as long as it's above about 31, 33. It's just I don't think you're breaking out to new highs like this year. I think that's a next year thing, but you're seeing momentum turn back onto the upside. You see 1, 2, 3 trend line tests on this regression, and higher lows along the way. So I do think it's going to be bullishly resolved. Just spending some time going sideways there after a nice breakout. Quite technical, so no problems with that in my opinion. Quarterly consolidation leads to continuation generally. So yeah. Let's see what else we got. Gustavo says, very cool name, by the way, Gustavo. Bitcoin just looks like a dead dog that won't come back to life. Amazing how sentiment shifts within a short period. A couple months ago, it felt unstoppable. Yeah, that's always how it goes, man. We're always our emotions always take things too far, and we always have recency bias. Recency bias is like it's among the worst logical fallacies in trading markets or in investing markets. It's like when things are rallying, they're going to rally for forever, and when things are dumping, they're going to dump for forever, and when things are buoying, they're going to be buoying for forever. At the end of the day, market ebbs and flows, man. It ebbs and flows. Nothing lasts for forever. Nothing goes down for forever. Well, things can go down for forever. Things generally don't go up for forever. You know, there are corrective moves. Hey, Sensabar, I appreciate the super chat, but feel free to just post a regular message in the chat box, and I'll dig it out and find it, because apparently it did not get posted with your super chat. But yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that's just how markets work, man. A lot of the time, mostly it's just boring. Mostly it's just boring, man. Like that's just the name of the game. I think that's the more that I learn about legendary investors, like long-term investors, that's probably the biggest thread that connects all of the successful ones, is that they're just content doing nothing. They're content doing nothing a lot of the time. It's really interesting to see. It's a different way of thinking. But I'm really starting to adopt it, and I want to master that. That's the next thing that I want to master. So I've been working on that for the past around about 5 years, maybe a little bit over 5 years. But you know, it's going to take fucking another 10 years really to get that under my belt, because long-term investing, you just takes time. Like you just don't get that many moves by the sheer nature of it, unfortunately. Ba is a defense contractor, synonymous with Lockheed Martin, RTX, and small cap. You know what? I generally like to follow these small cap ones, or especially the mid cap ones. So I'm going to add this to my list. I don't like the chart in its current trajectory, to be honest with you, but okay, its highs were here. When did it top? Yeah, November. Okay, so it had been rallying with the rest of the market. It is playing properly with that. You know, if it got down to like $70, I think I'd probably be an investor there, but I think in its current way, I'm not a big fan of it. It's the Eiffel Tower formation. It's just we don't really have any real indication of a macro low being put in yet. Again, and when it does, it's going to take many months, man. It's going to take many months. So yeah, did I try my laptop? I haven't, because I really sincerely don't want to use my laptop to play the game and stream. Like I want to stream some Let's Plays on Attila, but unfortunately, if I do it with my laptop, I certainly will not be able to stream simultaneously with playing that game, because that game is just notorious for just killing your fucking CPU and GPU, and to do that alongside streaming is that's not happening, man. But I don't know, if I just capitulate on streaming it and I just play it there, I'm gonna get sucked into it and never do anything else for the next like 2 months probably. I mean, that's just how I am. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back to Total War Third Age. Just do that. It sounds like I'm nagging. Sorry, because that's how I am. I mean, what's like the good Steam games nowadays? I know people have been calling out Apex or something like that. But I really want to play like an RPG or a strategy. I love strategy games, man. That's the heart of my nerdiness. Strategy games. We love fucking strategy games. Let's see what Google's doing over here. Topping out after all of the legendary investors have gotten into this one. Yeah, not topping out for forever, but topping out for short term. I do kind of like it if it comes down a little bit more to 290. But this is a parabolic move here. 6362. I will send it to you. All right. Gay SL says asking questions, also not doing her job. Great. Fucking great. Anyways. Arc Raiders. Yeah, that's it. Okay. For some reason I thought it's called Apex Raiders. Yeah. Yeah, Arc Raiders. I don't know, man. I don't have like the fast twitch fucking reactions anymore to play those sort of games like well. In my younger years, yeah, strategy. I love strategy, man. Strategy is the best. Strategy games have always been my favorites. StarCraft, fucking Warcraft, Total War. What was the other ones, man? What was the other ones? Oh, God. Yeah, some of the best of the best. Put your spam blocker on your iPhone. I do not actually have an iPhone, unfortunately. I am straight. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm straight, but let's look at ZEC for McDonald's, see what this one's doing. Ooh, yeah. So So before last time we looked at it in this month we were looking at, we said, hey, if this thing's going to fail, expect December to close very specifically below the April 2021 high of 371. And it is inching its way closer to that number each and every day. Again, we got 14 days left in this month, which is also in this year, which is in this quarter. And if it closed below there, I'd be very comfortable in calling this as the next macro top with big moves to the downside. Is there going to be another rally to the upside first, like on a lower high? Probably yes, but generally that would be my confirmation that this thing actually has topped out for a long time. In the short term, I do think you're going to retest the lows from, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, early December, at low $300. So that would obviously bring you below that pivot. If that happens again by end of year, that would be my conditions for getting massively bearish on this. And we're seeing exactly the signals you'd want to see if it is going to turn down. We got daily stochastic momentum turning to the downside freshly today, as long as this thing's below 454. You got a lower high right here, rejecting the range high. You're at the middle of the range. So I think it is going to break down to the bottom side of the range, and that would be that $300 number. So something like this. And I think that that's going to be a range that likely resolves bearishly if the quarterly finishes below, what was it, 370 or 375, whatever it was from earlier, by the end of December. So yeah, is that like aspirators? I've also heard about this game as well. It is a very sophisticated game, but not appropriate, unfortunately, for many people. Aspirators, yes, aspirators. I can only imagine what a game like Aspirators would be like. There are some fucking unhinged games on Steam, by the way. Like if you turn off not safe for work filter, oh man, oh fucking man, it's straight up just anime pornog. It's crazy. It's crazy what's on there. It's really good too. Like I don't know the specifics of it, but it's very good. Very good ratings. It's really good actually when you find those games on Steam to look at the reviews and people just say the most fucking crazy shit. It's great, man. Yeah, Age of Empires used to be fun. Yeah, I agree, man. More like Z crash. Yeah, I agree. I think that this thing is more likely to crash from here than it is to reverse. Yeah. It shall take its time, sir. It shall take its time. Anyway. What about Robinhood? Yeah, we could look at Robinhood, symbol HOOD. Oops. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, there we go. Consolidating at the highs, I think overall good. I just think in the short term, you do come back down closer to that swing low at $100 or so, something like that. But I do think that this is a good consolidation at a high level generally. So, your range lows is somewhere around here, like more like 95, $96. Maybe at some point you do get a wake down around there, but as long as you're above there, I'm just bullish. And I look at this consolidation as likely to be resolved to the upside with new highs in 2026. Yeah. First real pullback after the all-time high breakout. So yeah, give it some time to go sideways here. I do think you will test some downside, but I just don't think it's going to break down, nothing like that. Remember Leisure Suit Larry? Actually, no, I don't. I wish I did. Halo Wars, I never got into that one. Diablo, I didn't really got too much into that one as well. Command and Conquer, fuck yeah, man, that was great. That was amazing. Yeah, StarCraft, lost many years of my life on that one, especially with like the custom maps and everything. That was amazing, so amazing. Hip Hop Anonymous, looking at JD on the daily, weekly, monthly. Symbol JD. All right, I don't know this one, or I don't recognize the name at least. Down. At some point, it's coming back down to these lows from 2023, like $25.50 or so. You might get some bounces on the daily before that. I don't know, but I would feel very confident this thing will come back down somewhere around these lows if you fast forward like 5 to 6 months from now. And then I think at best you have a developing range here with your highs here. I guess I already drew this one out. My LARP lines are still, I think, relevant. I think at best, you kind of range within this region for a long time. And then maybe resolve to the upside. But again, that's going to be a long-term thing. And I do think you're going to retest the bottom side of the range, at least. It could also be that it just literally goes down only, but at least back down around here. So low 20s, mid to low 20s. Yeah, not great. Oh, Baldur's Gate, man. Holy shit. I fucking loved that game. Baldur's Gate 3 was amazing. But honestly, Divinity Original Sin, I like that one a little bit better. I like the combat system of that one a little bit better. Yeah, we did look at XRP pretty early on. Hey, Crime, remember you had a beard oil? Yeah, man. There was this guy who hit me up who I don't know why he wanted to do business with me. I don't even know why I wanted to do business with him. I think I just thought it would be cool to like have my logo on a bottle, and he's gonna send me one. But yeah, I don't think anyone bought it, but that's fine. I got some free samples, and that was cool. Yeah, man. Anyways, yeah, and I don't really have, I mean, I got a beard right now, but it doesn't really need much oil at the moment. Anyways, ever looking to plug stock? I think someone requested this from like a stream or two ago, but I don't recall what it looked like. I mean, it's fucking bad. It's pretty fucking bad. Someone pulled the plug on this shit. I mean, shit, man, fucking hit the plug on the old toiletnator right there. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I'd have to say, it's really bullish. And by bullish, I mean very bearish. And by bearish, I mean extremely mega nasty, ultra fucking disgustingly bearish. It was very bad. that was you. Fair enough. yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing. It's just a work of art, man. That game and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, they are works of art. It's insane the amount of shit that goes into these games. Shape up or slip out. Fuck yeah, man. There we go. River City Ransom was my favorite as a kid. I don't recall that one. Crypto Shart says syrup on the daily because I'm redacted. Fair enough. We all have a little bit of redact in us. I can't even spell it properly, so there's my version of redactedness. Let's see what the hell is going on over here. Millions and millions of texts at all hours of the day. I wonder when it will stop. When shall it stop? When? Okay, cool. Yeah, syrup on the daily. Let's go down to the daily preps. And yeah, so this one's entered into the downtrend of Destiny here. Although to be fair, this thing compared to almost every other crypto shitcoin that we've seen today is actually showing a lot more signs of potential low right here. But I would say it's not confirmed, and you don't really have and you probably just still fake out. Just because, that's just the going rate for most of these things. As long as you're below last Saturday's high, which is the price action pivot at 31 cents, if you can trade and close above 31 cents on a daily, I do think you'll have a pretty significant rally to like 39 or 40 cents. That's a big fucking percentage move from where you're at. But until that happens, I'm not necessarily going off this chart. I'm going off the rest of the market. I'm more inclined to say it's going to come back down to these lows of like 23 cents. But hey, that would be my condition for actually a real confirmed reversal, which would be quite impressive because this thing objectively looks actually better than most things we've seen today in the crypto market, at least. 5 days stochastic momentum even has a shot to turn to the upside on the next period if it finishes above 27 cents. So, I mean, if anything is going to try for a rally, this thing kind of in a position to do so, but I'd still want to really see it close above that number. If it does, you got a big like 20%, 30, maybe 30% rally. So yeah. The reason why I'm holding off on just being like, yeah, that actually kind of is okay, is just because it's a shitcoin and most of the things are looking a different way. And, still this is living below and getting rejected from the 377. So, this kind of does make sense for a lower high, especially if you see today close below the 21 EMA at 28 cents. If you see that, I think that's a pretty good indication that, yeah, this is a rejection and you are going to see it come to the downside. So I'd be waiting for the end of the day for that. Because if that does happen, that's a pretty easy signal. In and of itself, I think. WoW Classic controlled my life from 2019 to 2021. Lucky you, man. It controlled my life from like 2005 to 2008. I lost man. I remember one time after like a year of playing it, I did the /played for the first time, and it showed me like 150 or 180 days played. So that's 24 hours for every fucking day in game, and I felt so disappointed with myself. I felt so disappointed with myself. I remember that feeling, and from that point, I actually was able to quit. But man, I'll tell you straight up, man. Between WoW and just about any drug I've tried, WoW is the most. WoW and alcohol are the most addictive by fucking far. By fucking far, man. It's insane. And pain pills, all those things are too goddamn addictive. And funnily enough, those are the things that are probably easiest to get. It's crazy. It really is crazy in my opinion. Anyways, yeah, the NES. Actually, my brother-in-law just gave me a classic NES, loaded up with all the classic games. It's really fucking cool, man. Somehow they jailbroke them. Yeah, have you played Cyberpunk 2077? Of course I have, man. Especially the fan. I've not played the DLC, and I only played Cyberpunk when it first came out, and apparently everyone hated it when it first came out. I thought it was still pretty good. I didn't really have many issues with it, but apparently they overhauled the game like significantly a year or two later, and I haven't really gone back to it after that. So I don't know. Maybe I should go check it out. Yeah, the first guild to beat Molten Core. Yeah, I remember when that was like a big flex. You know, you got the tier 1 gear, which was just slightly better than the fucking blues that you had before. And it would take you like fucking several months just to farm the gear. And, you know, you got to queue up for these 40-man raids, and half the people are not even following along, and they're just like AFKing, and, you know, the other half do the actual work. Yeah, man. Those were fun. I don't know what it was, man, but those were legitimately fun times. Like the dopamine that I experienced from a fucking World of Warcraft day, it outweighs any other thing. I think it destroyed me for life. I think it destroyed my dopamine receptors for life, because I'll never get that excited ever again. I'll never get that excited ever again. That was the height. Look, you have Molly's, and then you have WoW being a server first, or getting your first, you know, piece of tier or whatever equipment. It puts you to a different level, man. I'm fucking telling you. Anyways, that's shitcoins for you. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. It's basically 100% polish. Yeah. The DLC is awesome. Okay. All right. I actually do own the game, so maybe I just need to update the DLC, whatever it is. But yeah, I have an N64 now with GoldenEye and Mario Kart. Yeah, I'm lethal as fucking GoldenEye. GoldenEye is one of the most classic games. I remember that was my first shooter ever, and we play multiplayer. You know, you'd be like looking at your friend's screen trying to like figure out what the hell they are. Yeah, man. How the fuck do we make those? How the fuck do we make guns work with that like shitty N64 controller though? That's a real question. Yeah, everyone seems to have their experiences with games. Yeah, imagine coordinating 40 people at once to complete those raids. It really was insane, man. It really was insane. And then remember, like, there was also world raids as well. So you'd have like, you know, you'd have multiple 40-person raids, you know, raiding the enemy's capitals and shit like that. That was pretty epic, man. That was pretty epic. You know, is there even game? The problem is I don't have. If I play a game like that, it eats my life, and I cannot control myself. I have a personality in which I cannot pull myself away from the game, and I start to treat it like my actual life, and like that character represents everything that I am, and that I absolutely need to do the best for that to make that character's pixels a little bit stronger. Yeah, man, it's bad. It's really fucking bad. I can't play it in moderation. I don't know what it is. I just can't do it. It sucks. But yeah. Dealing with the degenerates in the classic WoW taught me how to survive the crypt community. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fucking accurate, man. Just gamers in general are toxic as fuck. I don't know what it is, man, but you know, it's basically just entitled children who don't have any real responsibilities and have a very limited, worldview due to their lack of experiences, but having very strong views. Yeah. Fucking insufferable people generally. Anyways, Wolfenstein on the 95. Yeah. Wolfenstein, great one as well. When that one first can we make a classic WoW crown guild now? We probably have enough people. It's just kind of scary. It's us Virgos, man. It's in the fucking moods. It might as well be, man. You know, it might very well be. I'm looking at this hourly for Bitcoin. I mean, a perfect rejection right at the 200 symbol for Bitcoin right there. I'm just checking out the time. Yeah, again, I think that this does have attic influence, that Bitcoin will retest somewhere around these lows. Is it going to break the lows? Is the real question. Here's the thing, though. So with this morning's rejection, you actually have a really easy and clear reversal point now that's not so high as what we had before, and that's just today's high. If Bitcoin can even just trade back above today's high, you very likely will see that breakout occur to the upside into the deep 90s. So that is now going to be a price point of 90,342. But yeah, for right now, I mean, directions to the downside. So I don't know. Like I said, if you see a spike down and then a quick reversal, that's going to be a pretty damn good signal that, yeah, this thing does want to bounce deep into the 90s, maybe low 100s. That should be good. But until that happens, I mean, direction is down, to be fair. Anyways, bro, I'll lead the raid and never steal loot. Trust, don't verify. Fuck yeah, man. Yeah, I remember that. Or like trying to organize 5 people to go. Like, you used to have to, in my day, in order to do a raid, you had to travel for like 30 fucking minutes in game first to get to the fucking raiding place. And then you had to organize people properly who are actually like competent enough to like do their roles. And half the time you wouldn't even complete the raid anyways, or complete the dungeon anyways. You just waste like literally 2 hours of your life not getting anywhere. Holy shit. Remember as an Alliance player going all the way to, what was it, Sacred Cathedral or Sacred Monastery or SC, or is it SM? I don't know, but it was like in the enemy's land, some shit like that. You travel literally half an hour to an hour in game just to get there. Then you have like a raid for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Who knows if you're going to complete it? All to get some more pixels. That's all you get. That's all you fucking get. If altcoins are so bad, how can we give them so much attention? Sir, I'm reading the comments here, man. I'm not going to like, if someone sends me a super chat and they request an altcoin, I'm not going to say, fuck you, dude, it's an altcoin, it's shitty. I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to tell you it's shitty after I look at it and acknowledge that it is shitty. So yeah, man, I mean, was that, no offense, but like, you hadn't thought that through? Or yeah, Scarlet Monastery, that's it. Scarlet Monastery, that's the one. Yeah, that's a one, man. Yeah, Diramol, I remember that as well. I was a warlock, okay, very powerful level 60 warlock. I was affliction based, and we had to go to Diramol in order to get our mounts. Not your keys, not your coins, ABTC. I'm guessing this is a stonk, American Bitcoin. Yeah, last we looked at it, it's pretty bad. Still looking pretty bad, and I think it gets even worse, honestly. Yeah. Whoops, just drawing lines right now. But I mean, of course, you're going to get your bounces here and there, but this is a down only chart. It's literally a down only chart. Excuse me. It's no more. Actually, I was a human warlock. Okay. Probably not the best choice. Probably best to go undead warlock. But yeah, this is Eric Trump's company. Not going well. Not going well. It's called therapy. It's a little bit of shitcoin therapy. Yes. Yes. I think we've beaten the shitcoins out of this community at this point, though. It seems like most people are gravitating towards stonks, toward the old stonks. Actually, we haven't even looked at traditional market indices today. NASDAQ back down to $25,000. Yeah, it did lose last week's low, so I do think that we're going to see a little bit lower first. Maybe like 24,650, 24,500, somewhere in that pocket there, but that is a higher low. So I look at something like this now, like boom, 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 and then probably another try to the upside in 2026 as well. Again, I'm not bearish on the quarterly here, really. Not really bearish on the monthly. I just think that you're having to reconnect here, then back up. The creatine flush, please. The creatine flush. It can only be used at the proper time, my man. But looking at Coinbase, I mean, this one looks like it wants to be flush too. Almost all of these things looks like they want to retest lows. Prior weekly swing lows. It all looks gross. Many of them do, yeah. I mean, it's very, very difficult to find shitcoin charts that even look moderately good. We found I think one today. Monero was actually okay. Silver is not really a shitcoin though. I mean, it's not a crypto, so there's that. That dreaded SPY 666 level coming back to haunt us. Yeah, true. I don't know. Is it going to get all the way back down there? Actually, probably, yeah. Probably yes. Well, at least 67, like 68, something like that. Does it take another leg down from there? Maybe. At any rate, I still do look at this as a consolidation at the highs. I mean, shit. You tested the highs twice. Yeah, it's going to pull back, but bias has to be on a higher low. Bitcoin thoughts. Again, I think Bitcoin is going to retest around the lows, maybe a little bit higher than the current low of 80,000, maybe a little bit lower than the current low of 80,000, but somewhere down around there. Then I think if you're going to have a bounce, that's where it very likely comes from. If we're going to bounce, I'd be expecting Bitcoin to reverse very quickly, like within 48 hours of hitting that low, back above today's high. And as soon as it goes back above today's high of 90,350, I'd basically be looking at that as a confirmed breakout to the upside. I don't think we need to wait for the range to be reclaimed anymore. Trav Desav. Desav. I thought it was like your last name. No, Trav Desav. Yes, we used to say that as kids. Savage. That was like cool. It's cool if you're savage. Can you check out MSauce? Yeah, what is this? It rings. It sounds familiar, but I don't recall Well, I don't like it. On down only charts like this, whenever I see like a major moving average being tested, like the 200 simple, which is very close to, but not there just yet, it's closer to about $7.50. So it probably spikes 7.5. I'd be very defensive around this region for another lower high being put in. If you want to be bullish, I never call the reversal on a stock that looks like this until you objectively have a real reversal. So understand where I'm coming from. I might be wrong. I do think you will test this level right here, maybe even a little bit higher towards like somewhere between like 790 to 7.5. But that would be the area that I'd be looking for on another trending lower high. If I'm wrong, then you actually do have a potential reversal in play in which this thing might explode to like 10, $11, but because there is an objectively higher low right here. It'll be confirmed if Bitcoin. No, if MSOS closes above $6 by end of this month, and you do have a falling pizza formation. So technically there is a technical target here. I don't trust these things on down only assets. So take this with a grain of salt, but it would be implying in a target of like $9 if it can confirm the breakout at end of month. But again, without any like real uptrend here, I feel very, I just don't see these sort of technical signals play out to the degree that I want to see them in order to like actually play them personally. But hey, if you want to play MSOS, then fucking go for it, I guess. It's a cannabis ETF. I don't know, man. I'd be really, 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 really cautious in this area right here. If you see a rejection and then a quick turn down from about anywhere below $8, I would say probably it. Anyways, I'll take another sip of this water. I think we need to end the stream though relatively soon. BN Mom says Monero has been gamed. It's not private anymore. Is that true? I'm also getting my parents a retro handheld in a nice wood case this Christmas. That's actually pretty cool. They used to play Tetris and Super Mario. Oh, that's man. Your parents must be quite young. Parents must be very young. Crown bought EOS to become a millionaire. When do I sell to become a millionaire? When do you sell EOS to become a millionaire? Well, I'm actually curious where the hell this thing is at this point. This was like a 2017 shitcoin. If you recall back in 2017, this was supposed to be like the next big thing. It was supposed to be the next Ethereum or whatever. Of course, doesn't do anything as, I mean, shit, do you even want to be the next Ethereum? I mean, it's been kind of a loser this cycle anyways. When do you sell? Well, the best time to sell would have been about 7 years ago. The second best time is any other time in the past. The third best time could be the present moment. Yes, indeed. Artarmas Barkamas. Sorry, man, I'm completely ruining your name. I apologize. You say beat highly scalpable shitcoin. Also, California Games and Marble Madness on the Nintendo or Class. Wait, what? Beat highly scalpable? Oh, it's a highly scalpable shitcoin. I generally disagree with you because of the lack of liquidity in shitcoins. I mean, I think it's a great trending shitcoin. All you need to do is just get short. This thing wants to go down and go down bad. I think it's a great trending shitcoin. In fact, it's got a beautiful trend. It's just to the downside. Yeah, yikes. Exactly. Caretaker. Exactly. Fucking yikes, man. Yeah, EOS, the Ethereum killer. Yeah. I mean, if you've been around for even, 3 to 4 years now, you probably heard that same sort of marketing spin many times for many different things. It's almost a signal in and of itself. It's like, this is not going to be legit. You don't even want to be the next Ethereum or the Ethereum killer. Like, Ethereum seems to have killed itself this cycle anyways. Like, it's not great. Crypto Shark says, you said Bitcoin likely to retest the low. Which low? That would be the low from the last few weeks of about 80,500. That would be the low, from November 17th. Somewhere around there. I think you're going to get very close to it. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower. But I just don't think you're going to close lower. I still think that this is a bouncing area. So yeah. But somewhere around this low. Might be a little bit higher, might be a little bit lower. Somewhere around there. Yeah, and then BitConnect, yeah. BitConnect was like the crazy Wild Wild West. Like they were doing advertisements on YouTube. It's really crazy. Super crazy. Hey, now Ethereum has a similar chart Silver did before the breakout. Maybe. I think the difference is that Ethereum has not gone up and silver has. Does it? Oh, okay. So put that chart in your mind. Nah, I'd have to disagree. No, I'm sorry, man. I don't see it personally. I see higher lows, which is good. I mean, look, as long as Ethereum's above that April 2025 low, I guess you could still say it's not among like the worst shitcoins in the world. At least it holds an uptrend. It's just it hasn't made significantly new all-time highs. So to me, that's just a dead investment. It's a bad investment. You got to be investing in shit that's going up now. Go up now up. You can't just be holding things that are going sideways and down while there are things in the market that are going up. I mean, that is the epitome of losing opportunity cost. AI craze feels like the 2018 shitcoin bubble, hopes and dreams. Yeah, I mean, that's how most of these bubbles do work. The problem is that we all know that we're on a bubble. We just don't know how big the bubble gets. It's very difficult to guess. So I haven't really seen too many AI coins of recently, or of recent. But last I looked, a lot of them had kind of blown off their tops a little bit, but I'm not super involved in that game right now. In fact, for the AI and robotics ETFs that I follow, they're actually looking pretty decent. Full disclosure, I do own these, but they do want to pull back, but overall it's still good. I'm not bearish on this. I'm just looking for a pullback here and then more new highs. This is Robos. This is robotics and automation ETF. Robot is AI and robotics. So similar, but slightly different, not automation, but just AI. Both of these are good. I just think that they're going to pull back into higher lows and then rally from there. So like, can this bubble go on for longer? Yeah, probably. When I look at my defense technology, so it's kind of like your AI in defense. I mean, yeah, it's pulling back into a consolidation, but overall, okay. I don't know, other AI things I don't really follow too much, actually. I'm actually happy for Peter Schiff this cycle. He's been dunked on all previous cycles. Yeah, I mean, look, like, I don't hate Peter Schiff. I don't love Peter Schiff. I get what he's doing. He's marketing. That's the way that he markets. Fair enough, whatever. To each their own. I also don't really understand why there's like a fucking religious war between gold and Bitcoin. At the end of the day, you should probably own both. If you own Bitcoin because you want a store of value, then I think it also makes sense to own gold as a store of value because they're both stores of value. I think that there's a world where both of them coexist, and silver and a lot of these other precious metals. That's just me. Anyways, there is no bubble. I love you. Fair enough, sir. I believe you. I lost $100 to BitConnect. Yeah, that sucks. Hardware is where it's at for AI. Yeah, I mean, sell the shovels in a gold rush, and the hardware is the shovels, isn't it? But yeah, man, I think we're gonna shut off the stream on that note, sirs and zers. I think we're gonna shut off the stream on that note. I got a meeting to get to relatively soon. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you on this nice little Wednesday morning. As always, we'll continue on with the live stream schedule Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. It's 11 a.m. I always get this wrong. 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a little bit after market open. Let the market kind of evolve from there. But yeah, we will end things on that note. Tomorrow will be a regular video upload day. And again, in the short term, just looking for Bitcoin probably to graze the lows again. Hopefully we get a bounce from those lows. And here's the key information here, if we get any sort of a bounce now that brings Bitcoin in the next week, I would say back above today's high, very specifically today's high, 90,342. I do think you got to reverse on your hands, and Bitcoin will try, a pretty legitimate move, deep 90s, low 100s, somewhere around there. But yeah, that's what we'll end things for today. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully